Good evening, guys. Good evening, everybody. Welcome to my YouTube channel. This is Zeki Alp, Hasan Zeki Alp. I'll be presenting you Lua lesson 3 at these hours. And just as you can see at the sharing screen, you see Lua symbol, Lua logo, and for presenting these lessons I've been using JetBrains IntelliJ IDEA, and just a few days ago, actually today or yesterday in fact, I have upgraded my environment. I'm talking about JetBrains environment, and right away, without wasting any time, I'd like to start up. I'd like to resume our lessons for teaching you Lua. Okay, this is my development environment, IntelliJ IDEA, and this is the lessons that I presented to you at last lesson, and for this lesson, just I will make a repeat for the last one, and after that we'll go on with our next code snippets. Okay, as far as I remember, just I have presented you while a dual loop, and just I said that if we say true for a condition, for a circumstance that is gonna continue infinitely, so this loop is called an infinite loop, and without any manual intervention, these things, these commands will be performed, will be executed up to infinity in continuous manner. So in somehow it's desirable, because without in need of any manual intervention, this loop will always will run. However, this is undesirable thing sometimes, that restricts to prevent any manual operation, so as to stop this execution. Anyway, just this was the topic of the last lesson. I'm gonna show you another one. Okay, just I would like to introduce you Lua functions and Lua functions structure format. And by the way, these two dashes stands for commands, and it's not compiled during compilation. It's just for commands and just commentary and explanation. Okay, in Lua language, you have to mention a function, and after that the name of that function. For example, I name this function as max, and it's gonna accept two arguments, number 1 and number 2, and just the case is like that. Our function will determine which number is bigger than the other one. So the bigger one will be named as maximum number of these two. And here is our comparison structure, relational comparison structure. So I use if then else structure, if then else, and within these brackets or parentheses, I say that if number 1 is greater than number 2, then please assign this number as a variable of result. Okay, and result just will carry the bigger number or maximum number of these two. And if else, that means if number 1 is not greater than number 2, that's to say number 2 is greater than number 1. So in this case, case, number 2 will be assigned as the value of result. And after this comparison, relational comparison, just I would like to return our result value as a output for this maximum function. That's to say, as a result of this comparison, so we find out which one is greater, that's to say which one is the maximum of these two numbers. And actually I don't see any need to run this function, because it does not give anything to output area, output world. So in our next example, I want to show you how to call this maximum function. Okay, the previous lines are the same with the previous example. Okay, just I'd like to show you the recall or invoking this maximum function. Just this is the paraphrasing, this is the title for this functional recalling, and I use max and this structure to invoke, to recall my maximum function with such parameters. Okay, number first is equal to 10, number second equals to 4. And once again I repeat this function recalling with another two different arguments, 5 and 6, and just I'd like to run this Lua file. Okay, just for the first function recalling, 10 is the maximum, or 10 is greater than 4. And what about the next example? Okay, 6, or other saying, number 2 is greater than, so number 6 is the maximum of these two functions. Okay, I hope it's understood well, and let me show you another example. Okay, file 18. It's an example for assigning and passing functions. Okay, this here I define a variable, my print, and actually it's gonna carry the function with parameter param, and within this function frame, within this frame, this command will be performed. That's to say, this is my print function will be printed, and after this two hashtag signs, and with comma, and by mentioning param and another comma, this line will be printed with real with corrected arguments. Okay, and our function ends here. Okay, just I would like to define another function, add function. So with this add function will accept two arguments, number 1 and number 2, and another component, function print. It's gonna carry a function print argument, and I define a result variable here, so as to sum up number 1 and number 2, and this result will become an argument for function print. Okay, function print, and it ends here. Just I recall my print here with with which argument? The argument is param 10. So just look here. As a result of the first line, this is my print function will be printed, and within these hashtag signs, 10 will be printed, and after that just I invoke my add function here. I recall add function with two different parameters, such as number 1 and number 2, 2 and 5 I mean, and after that I use my print function as argument, and I'd like to run this snippet once again. Okay, just I repeated this. This is my print function for this one, and once again with arguments this 2 plus 5 equals to 7 is gonna print it once again. Okay, it is an example for assigning and passing functions. I hope it's understood, you guys. and 19, quote 19, and here this is an example for functions with variable arguments. Okay, here just I chose average function here. I define this average function. Just at first I define a variable result so as to initialize as 0 or reset to 0, and this is my local arc structure, arc list. So it's gonna accept some data inside. It's already reserved, and this is my for in structure so as to fill in the data for arc structure, and just focus on this do command. Result it's going to be assigned as result plus v. So for each time, for each recursion of this counter I, v will be chosen, and v will be added to the result variable, and this is going to come to an end. And what about the return value of this average function? Just as a result, as we know, result will be divided by arguments or the repetition of this process. So it's going to give an average value of all this bunch of stuff. And how to recall this average function? In fact, just I have to mention its name, and just I give the other numbers so as to calculate the average of them. And in order to make ourselves, just I make it run by means of Lua. Okay, the average is 5.5. It's already calculated and printed out on the screen. How about the next file? Okay, file 20. Just I'd like to make an introduction for Lua strings. Okay, my first string first is going to assign as Lua, and just here by means of this example, I'd like to show you the different structures of these formats. Okay, just look here. I use backslash and another backslash with quotation marks, and here I simply use no just a quotation mark to indicate that it's a text, and this time I just use string 3 within double brackets, and just when we run this Lua snippet, we can see the results. Just for the first one, this backslash stands for this, that string 1 will be left, will be kept, having bracket quotation marks. In fact, string s. Just in order to make it displayed this way, just we have to use this. This is our trick. Okay, the second one is everything is normal, and this is the explanation. String 2 is, and the number, the value of this string tutorial will be printed out. And how about the third one? The string is, the string 3 is, and when we look up this one, just by means of this quotation, this brackets, it's saying that this value, this is the value to be kept, to be displayed. In fact, Lua tutorial will be printed out having quotation marks. How about the next one? Okay, just we're going on with case manipulation. So I'd like to show you methods regarding streets. upper method and lower method. Upper method stands for making all the characters of that such string in uppercase, and likewise lower is gonna be used to make it lowercase, all the characters or the bytes within a string. And just I chose a short string here, Lua. Only the first letter of this string is uppercase, letter L, and just I simply recall this method with this another method. I use string first, and this case I make it lower, and just it's expected that Lua will be printed with all uppercase letters, and in this case contrarily Lua will be printed with lowercase characters. Okay, just as I said, the first execution of the first print method, and this is the output for the execution of the second print method that corresponds to lower method. Okay, how about the next one? Example 22. Just by means of this example, just I intended to show you replacing a substring within a string, and just here I say that this is my new string, this is going to be my new string, and this is the method to be recalled in order to make such a replacement. And Gsub stands for substring, and the first string will be named, will be mentioned here, and pattern is going to be mentioned here. In fact, pattern is a tutorial. How about the replace one? Tutorial will be changed, will be replaced with language. In fact, okay, in the very beginning, in the original one, Lua tutorial is expressed here, and by means of this Gsub method and this option, replace option, tutorial phrasal is going to be changed with language. In fact, and after that, just by mentioning this dot notation, I'd like to get it printed as new string. I make it run right away. Okay, new string is Lua language, not Lua tutorial. Just as you can see, tutorial part has already been changed with language phrasals. And how about 23? Okay, this is an example for formatting. I here define two strings. The first one is Lua, and the other one tutorial, such as string first and string second. And here just define two numbers, numerics, number first and number second. And just this is an example for basic string formatting. Just I gave three different formatting. In fact, at the first one, sorry. Format keyword is a must. Okay, for three of them. The keyword is format string. This is the phrasals, you guys. Basic formatting is %sign s. %sign s stands for string, and first string and second string. And just right away, I'd like to run it and show you one by one after that. Okay, the first one, just as you remember, Lua. The second one was tutorial. So just mentioning in a sequence manner, string first and string second, Lua tutorial will be printed out. This is the paraphrasal part, okay, and this is the real one or the live one. So this is gonna replace with the real string values, such as Lua stands for this one, and tutorial stands for this one. It's understood, I think. And how about date formatting? The first date is 2, month 1, and year 2 times 14. Okay, is so old. 20. Yes. Okay. And for date formatting, we have to use format once again. We have to use this keyword format string. Okay, date formatting is percent sign 2D, O2, O2, and O3, and the first one stands for date. The second one stands for month, and the other one stands for year. So date actually it's going to be day, I think. Or anyway, okay, just when we run this one, just we'll get this one. Okay, 2000. Anyway, just I have to run this one. Okay, 20. Yes, we got the updated one. Okay, and just as you can see, date, month, and year. And how about the decimal formatting? Decimal means floating point formatting, in fact. So just here, okay, just 1 divided by 3 is gonna be such a value, and after mentioning format and format string, percent sign dot 4 stands for there will be 4 digits after a point. That means for that. F stands for floating, and just as you can see, 1, 2, 3, 4 digits is placed after this decimal point. And this was lesson code 23. How about 24? Okay, this is the character and byte representation, in fact. Just this is the first character. I say Lua, and I'd like to get it printed byte Lua. And how about the third character? So I have to mention index 3. This is the third character, and 0, 1, 2, 3. Okay, A will be printed out, and the first character from last, that stands for A once again. Okay, the last character from last, that means -1. In fact, we count at the end, starting from at the end. And how about second index? This one, and second from last, letter U once again. Okay, just I'd like to convert these ASCII characters in order to get numeric alphanumeric string type. So when it's not in my memory, in fact, it's going to be C or A. Anyway, okay, just I'd like to get it executed, this one. Okay, for the first one, okay, the first character L stands for 76. How about Lua, the third one, 1, 2, 3. A stands for 97. Okay, this is gonna give the same, because we inquired the letters starting from the last. Okay, the same A once again, another 97. Okay, here. And how about the second one? We're talking about letter U, and second from the last once again, second one from the last, and second from the last. So U once again, and another double 117 and 117. How about 97? 97 stands for A. 97 stands for letter A. And just this is going to be the last example, last code for tonight. Just other common functions. I named it like this. And our first string will be Lua, and the other one tutorial. So just it's an example for concatenations, string concatenations using this notation double dot or dot dot. And just I recall this method by means of this notation: string first, dot dot, string second. Just it's similar to plus that we used in Java or in Python notation. It's replaced with double dot, and just by using some method we can determine the length of this string. For example, I'm talking about length method. Length method calculates or determines the length of the string, or the maximum index number. Just we can interpret, paraphrase this one, and string dot length, and this first string we're talking about only Unix, it wants the string. So how about repeating strings? Just we can get an idea about whether there is a repeating string within a string or not. Just this is the related relevant variable to be named repeated string, and after mentioning this string keyword, dot wrap is the name of the method, string first, comma, and it's gonna consider as 3. That means that can be translated like that. We inquire that is there any string repetition with the number 3, and just after that I will print out this repeated string. Just this was after this one. Okay, the length of this Lua string. Okay, 1, 2, 3. Okay, and just repeat the string. This is the repetition value, and Lua 3 Luas will be printed out as a result of this repetition method recalling. So just we have come to up to file 25. So we have already completed this course. Just in parallel with the English one, just I'm presenting in Turkish version. So in order to for the sake of coincidence with the Turkish one, I have to finish. I have to halt the contents of this course right away. And thanks for your watching me, you guys. I hope you liked interesting this Lua language, and I have lots of Lua course, in fact. So as long as you desire to watch anything about Lua, I'll be here. I will be preparing such kind of courses. And thanks for your sharing time. And please advise me for your friends, for your guys, in order to get them subscribed. And thanks for your sharing time once again. Bye bye. Have a nice evening. By the way.